What's up, everybody? Welcome to a quick tip that's probably not going to be very quick at all. We're going to be talking about how to set up a safe spot. Now, I am in high-sec space, and I don't have anything really to worry about right now. I'm in a very cheap ship. I don't have any implants. I'm not at war with anybody. There's really like nothing for me to worry about here. But the only thing I've queued up is my core probe launcher and some scanner probes, which I probably won't need anyway. And then I've got a PowerPoint with some artwork that I'm going to walk you through, because some of what we're doing is it needs a visual aid to really make a lot more sense than just what we're looking at here. So first off, the idea of setting up a safe spot is if you're in low sec or low security space, null security space, or in a wormhole, you're going to want to have a place or two or three in space that you can escape to, that somebody else can't just warp to if they're trying to attack and kill you. So if somebody shows up and I'm just hanging out by this gate here, or wherever, let's say I was doing exploration and I'm at a relic site, and I need to get out of there quick, I could go to this safe spot and they wouldn't immediately be able to warp to me. There are ways that they can track you down, but we'll get to that in a minute. So you want to have, generally, before you start working in a dangerous area, you want to have set up 2, 3, maybe even 4 different safe spots that you can escape to and then bounce around between, which is just to like warp from one safe spot to the next and then warp again after a few seconds and again. Because whoever's trying to attack you or kill you needs time to scan you down, which people can do very quickly, but they need time to scan you down and get to you. So if you're just constantly bouncing around, they're not going to be able to really get a grip on you. So part of why I pulled up this map here is you can see that this is where we are here. Maybe I can make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's probably big enough. But anyway, you can find yourself on your map, which I pulled up through the probe scanner by opening up here. And then you can open up the solar system map there. There's also another way to do it. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm assuming it's, yeah, solar star and solar system maps. Anyway, so this is the view that I'm looking at right now. You can look at it from the side. It's probably best to look at it head down, just so that you can sort of see what you're working with. Because for the most part, solar systems are going to be basically on a plane. And you can see that that's pretty much the case here. So right now, you see these little pin marks? These are places that I've bookmarked on my own. Now I don't need them, so I'm going to remove them. And just to get into good practice, I'm going to create a folder in my locations, my people and places, called safe spots. Now, this add location button is going to be important. So there are a few steps I'm going to show you here, and then I'm going to jump over to the visual aid that's a lot easier to talk to, and then we'll kind of come back. So I just want you to know that as you're looking at this and as you're traveling around, this will reflect your location as you fly. So if I warp to 0, you'll notice that that my little icon here will move. And as I'm moving, if I hit add location and I'm waiting, see how it's moving? The moment I hit submit, that's where the bookmark is made. So you can get it, and the intent is to make bookmarks in between locations. And I'll get into that here in just a minute. But that's the first and most important thing, is that there was a long time at the beginning of the warp and a long time at the end of the warp. And I'll warp off again just to drive the point home, where my little location isn't moving. I may be 1,000 kilometers off the gate or whatever, but I'm not really out of the area. So if I'm going to warp, it's going to take me a really quick moment to enter warp, and then we'll see that, boom, I entered warp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds before my little thing starts moving. And then when we get to wherever it is that we were warping to, we're there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds, 9. You get the idea that there's a good chunk of time on both ends where you're not actually out of the area. So if you want to create a bookmark that's significantly away from where you were currently at, you need to wait until you're actually moving, and a good way to know whether you're moving or not is to look at this map. So let's jump over to the PowerPoint here. All right, so this is where this kind of represents the map, so to speak, and the way you want to look at it. So first things first, you're here, you're down at the bottom. There we go, you can see the map. So you're down at the bottom, and this is where you came in, wherever you happen to be. If you're at a gate or you're at the entrance to the wormhole or whatever the case may be, this is where you start. And when you look around in the system, there are almost always stellar objects, suns or stars, moons, planets, just stellar objects. And so to start with, once you show up, you want to start creating and saving locations like we did originally. And you're going to want to name them in such a way that they make sense to you when you look at a list of them all next to each other. So to start with, you're going to want to warp to any stellar object, really. A stellar object is easy because they exist pretty much everywhere. If you pick a mining belt, like an asteroid belt, or a relic site or a data site or something else that I don't know, maybe you scanned it down previously, there's a little danger in that because you're going to be along a path that many other people may have traveled before you, and you want to avoid that, and we'll get into that. So as you are warping towards this first stellar object that you've chosen, you want to do like we did and create a little safe spot for yourself and save a location. And so that'll be your first basic safe spot. It's not the safest spot you'll be able to have because other people could have also picked that stellar object, and they could have also dropped their safe spot at or near yours, right? And so this is a good start. Maybe it's between gates. That's also even less safe, but you want to go towards a stellar object and create your first safe spot. All right? So the next step is to travel from that stellar object to yet a second one. So you're moving from stellar object 1 to stellar object 2, and surprise, surprise, you're doing the same thing. You're creating yet another safe spot between them. All right? So now you've got two relatively safe spots that you can go to. All right? So now this, if you're feeling lazy or if you're not feeling particularly threatened, this is a decent way to do it. Now, if you want to be more safe, you need to go another layer deeper. So again, the way these are laid out currently, this is a common route that people would take, right? So people will commonly go from wherever they entered to a stellar object to create safe spots, much like you. Or maybe they're doing planetary, I forget what the I stands for. Whatever if they're, harvesting on a planet or whatever, they will also be going to that moon or that planet. And so they'll be traveling along the same path that you might be, and they might be able to come across you and scan you down through their directional scanner. And they may also just be able to sit at the entry, point themselves at this stellar object, and do a very directional, like 5-degree directional scan, and see that you are on that path, and then kind of find their way to you that way. So to start with, you've got two safe spots here, and this is relatively good, but not anywhere near as good as it can be. So you take the next step. You go back to one of your safe spots. Let's say you went back from stellar object 2 to your second safe spot, and then you warp from that second safe spot to the first safe spot. All right, so now you're warping between 2 points that people probably don't have, and you're working along a path that, for the most part, people probably do not travel across. And yep, you guessed it, you make yet another safe spot. So this safe spot that you've created here is much better than either of these, because just of the sheer degrees of variation and degrees of chaos that go into this, right? You've made like the one choice to go to stellar object 1, another choice dropping the safe spot where you did, a third choice going to stellar object 2, a fourth choice dropping, so like each choice is an element of chaos that's entered into this system, and you're trying to enter as many elements as possible. So this is a good safe spot. I've labeled it as better, but generally speaking, let's just call it good. All right. Now, you continue. If you go back to safe spot 2, and then you go to, say, a third stellar object, now you're also going along a separate path that people probably do not travel on, and you're making another better safe spot, right? So now you've got 2 relatively good safe spots. But the best is if you probably have guessed it at this point, warped between those 2 safe spots that are good and created a safe spot right in the middle there, right? And so you're literally just sort of mapping your way out. And you want to do this 3 or 4 times in an area that you're going to be spending some time, at least for safety's sake. So I'm relatively lazy, and I don't fly around in ships that are worth billions. I don't have the money, and I just can't afford it. So I'm usually content to create a location halfway or partly way between wherever it is I'm coming from and wherever it is I'm going. Usually it's a relic or a data site, and I just use those as my safe spots. So I would have a safe spot of this caliber or of this quality, 1 and 2. But if I was going to live in a wormhole, for example, or if I was living in null space, I would probably have gone out and spent the time to lay out and create a bunch of safe spots for me, for myself. And so that's pretty much how it's done. Now, going back into the game, I guess I need to, there we go. We can, it should make a little bit more sense. So if I'm at this safe spot, right? So this is, let's say, my excellent safe spot that we talked about. I warp there, and let's say I'm feeling lazy. If I happen to be sitting at this safe spot for too long, people can scan me down with combat probes and save that spot themselves. Now, they might not come and attack me right now, but if they surprise me later on in this same zone, they'll know that this is one of my safe spots. So they will have already saved it in their locations, and they'll know that this is a place that I run to when scared. And so you just need to be aware that if somebody is chasing you, that they're going to be able to scan you down probably, and you can't just hang out at any one safe spot unless you have a cloak. Even then, if you have a covert ops cloak, that would be the best, because you can cloak yourself up before you reach your safe spot, or warp to 100 kilometers from your safe spot and stay cloaked there. It's never a good idea to go AFK, but if you have to, make sure that you're cloaked and make sure that you're at a safe spot or somewhere, because you can't get scanned down that way. But you just need to be very careful that you don't linger outside of your cloak at a safe spot that you think is perfectly safe for too long without being aware of what's going on around you, because somebody could have scanned you down, could have saved that location, and will come and get you when you least expect it. So that's how you create a safe spot. There are, like I said, multiple tiers of creating safe locations. And if we click on the warp out here, you'll see that, there's all kinds of belts, moons, planets. That's an oceanic planet, and other such. And so each system is going to have something like this. And there's a star, there's, gates, there's all kinds of things. So my suggestion, follow those I wouldn't say they're rules, but that's kind of how you go about it. You set up safe spots, build safe spots off of safe spots off of safe spots. It's like an exhibit meme in full effect here. So that's how you do it. Let me know if this was a good explanation or not. I know this is something a lot of people are curious about. I'm also going to make a video or two about like how to, when you're exploring, what your sort of the standard operating procedures are when you get into a wormhole, how to like save the locations as you scan them down, what you should always be aware of, making sure you're saving the exit, making sure that you always have, 16 probes instead of just the 8 like I have here, and all kinds of little things like that. So that'll be in one of the coming videos, but for now, I still have a few videos on just the exploration industry, or the exploration career agent, and hopefully we'll get into some of the exploration stuff there, but a little bit more into detail later. So thanks for watching. If this wasn't well described to your if you have trouble understanding it, by all means let me know, and I'll either make another one and I'll scrap this, or we'll just kind of figure it out between the two of us. And you're probably not the only one who feels that way, so let me know. I appreciate the feedback. And yeah, so I'll see you in the next video, and check out the links in the description if you want to support the stream, and I'll see you soon.